Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland, coming to you from an undisclosed location. The result of the Irish abortion referendum is in, or accurately I ought to say plebiscite. So all changes to the Irish constitution on Bunreacht na hÉireann require a plebiscite. That's when the people get to vote. It's not an election for public representatives, it's people voting on a particular issue. Should abortion be allowed or not? Now, it's already allowed in some very unusual cases, but more broadly allowed up to 12 weeks gestation. And it was a yes vote. Well, everybody saw that coming. And the pro-abortion vote was a bit more decisive than I'd forecast. I said 60% would vote yes. In fact, it was 66% yes, which is a tiny bit down from some of the early exit polls. The Eighth Amendment to the Constitution will therefore be repealed. Well, the yes vote, they had the running. Things have been going their way over time since the first referendum on this head in 1983. Then there was another constitutional amendment about 2003, and the pro-life vote was down a bit, and blah, blah, blah. So it's tipped to us being a secular country. Now, I realise there are non-religious reasons to oppose elective abortion, but religiosity and pro-life beliefs correlate strongly. And even those religious people who are pro-choice tend to be less fervent in their faith, less frequent attenders. The regional variation was also confirmed by the statistics. So the data shows that one Dublin constituency had a 78% pro-choice vote. That's the highest in the state. And Donegal had only 48% pro-choice vote. That's the lowest in the country. And it's the only county or constituency I could find in which most people were pro-life. So the Republic of Ireland has become more of a typical EU country. Though the Be Good Little Europeans, that argument wasn't advanced very much by the pro-choice side. Not that it would really backfire, because the Republic of Ireland is fairly Europhile. I have to say only fairly. You might remember the referendum on the Treaty of Nice and then on the Treaty of Amsterdam, and us voting no both times. Another point I could make, the Republic of Ireland, as soon as an issue is decided by a referendum, the next question is, when do we vote on the issue again? That's only slightly in jest, because we voted against deeper integration twice, but each time we were obliged to vote again just a year later, and the Europhiles threw the kitchen sink at it and won second time round. The political elite would not accept the verdict of the people, and they got their way, saying, oh, well, it's a protest vote about other government issues. To some extent that's true, but that is it. There was only one question on the ballot paper, so you go with that. There are always extraneous factors in referenda or elections. That doesn't mean the result should not be accepted. I'm not totally against second referenda, or plebiscites to be more accurate in this case. Second plebiscites on the same question, but there should be a decent interval, like a generational interval, 20 years or more. There we are. So I don't think this is going to be revisited, especially as the voting was so heavily for the pro-choice side. And there's a political consensus to go this way. And even those who are pro-life, some Fianna Fáil backbenchers, for instance, most of them will say, right, this is the settled will of the Irish people, so we will respect that. Moreover, things are going that way with the rising generation, with the geriatrics are dying off, being mostly pro-life, with adolescents who are reaching man's estate or woman's estate. These young adults are increasingly pro-choice. So reversing this change will be all but impossible. There's one thing about granting people rights, one must be very careful about doing so, because having granted people a right is then very difficult to deprive them of it. There would be shrieks of protest if politicians said, actually, I think we'll change that back again. Anyway, it'll be in the Constitution, so as I said, the Constitution can only be amended via plebiscite, which I think is a fantastic feature of the Irish Constitution. So just because I'm born in Ireland, I try not to be prejudiced for or against anything from Ireland. Just because it's my homeland, that doesn't automatically prove that something is desirable because we do it that way. or indeed, just because it's from my native land, it doesn't automatically follow that something is bad. I strive to approach it objectively, but it's difficult to do so. And I think that's something that everyone should try to assume. My people could be mistaken, right? It could be that we're labouring us under a misapprehension. I suppose many of the pro-choicers would say this. There was a time in the Republic of Ireland when abortion, if not medically urgent, was considered anathema, and anyone who proposed that was utterly evil beyond redemption. And now we see, 40 years from that attitude being very widespread, that things have gone the other way, and there was obviously a lot of hate mail and hostility towards pro-abortion activists decades ago, and now their opinion has gone mainstream. So you see how public opinion can be changed. Having several children is no longer the norm. The Republic of Poland and indeed Malta, they are the only standouts, those EU member states where abortion is not generally permitted. Only in most exigent circumstances will it be allowed by law. This is also personal success for An Taoiseach, Dr. Varadkar. Yes, he is a physician as well. He's not a PhD. So he had campaigned zealously for this change to be introduced. I remember in one of the previous referenda on the European Union, some of the Eurosceptics, with whom I sympathise, said if we vote for this, then they will force us to have termination of pregnancy by law. And that was a bogus claim. So even though I am a Eurosceptic, I recognise sometimes Eurosceptics have essayed to deceive the public. Well, that's that. It's a settled issue, and it will not be revisited anytime soon.